In this video, I'm going to be wiring a 220 volt outlet in my house. So I have my dryer and a stick welder right here, and you can see they actually have different plugs. So this is the dryer's plug, and you can see the outlet back here, actually different than the welder's plug. So you got to make sure when you go to Home Depot that you get the correct plug that you're going to use. And so you see this has it's got the three terminals. It's going to use 3-wire. So what you're going to want to do is look at your amperage requirements for the breaker. In order to find out what circuit breaker amps you need, you should look at your welder. Unfortunately, I don't have a service manual, but mine comes with it printed right here. So maximum amperes input of 45.5. So I'm going to get a 50 amp breaker that I'm going to use just in case. You want to get just slightly higher than whatever this is. You're going to need a double pole breaker. Whichever one you decide to go with. Double pole means it's got 2 hots going to it, so it's going to take up 2 spots in your main breaker. So we're going to need that, the wire. So I'm going to try and go over what kind of wire you guys should need. So first is the gauge. So if you see something called, say, 10-2 wire or 10-3, the first number, or it could be, let's say, 8-4 wire, the first number is going to be the gauge. Then the second number is going to be the number of wires inside that wire, not including the ground. So I'll include a chart to help you determine what gauge you need. It's going to be based on the length of wire that you're going to run and the amperage, and that should determine your first number, your gauge. And then for your second number, so if you have a 3-prong outlet, you're generally going to need -2 wire. So that means you have 2 hots plus the ground that is not included in the number here that's not sheathed. If you had a 4-prong outlet, you would want 10-3. Because that's going to have 2 hots, a neutral, and a ground. So I have an example of 10-3 right here. Hopefully you guys, let me maybe bring it into better light. I don't know if you guys can see this, but so there are 4 wires here, red, black, those are 2 hots, and then there's an unsheathed ground, and then a white neutral. So the first thing you really want to do is plan where you want your outlet. So eventually the wires are obviously going to have to come back to your main breaker, which is here. Yours might just have a cover on it. I just removed, there were like 6 screws here. That's all I've done here. So planning where you want everything is going to be really important, because if I wanted this in a totally different room, I would have to be running the wires through the walls using a fish hook and like pulling them through, or just like, I don't know, either cutting through the sheetrock or running it outside the sheetrock. It's up to you. But for me, because I'm already in my garage, I'm really going to use a welder in the garage. I'm just going to go as easy as possible and place my outlet somewhere just in this general area. We're going to need to punch out a hole. If you see, all of these breaker boxes are full of like perforated holes that you can easily punch out. So you're going to need an adapter in there, which is this guy, which is just going to kind of stop the wire from rubbing right against that sheet metal of the breaker box and possibly causing it to break. You're going to need an outlet box. This is a really simple, cheap one. It's just what the, let me grab the outlet again, what the outlet is going to kind of fit into. Some of them have backs to them. You want to make sure that it's the right depth for the wall too. So for instance, like I bought one originally that was deeper than this is from like the back of the sheetrock to the wall, so it wouldn't fit. So pay attention to that. And then a faceplate for after we're all done. Well, I forget. And we'll put this over here. The first thing I'm going to do is cut into the drywall a little bit, see where some of those wires were going, so I can figure out where I'm going to place everything. So I have a drywall knife right here. Also a plunge cut saw works really well. Any sort of reciprocating saw like a Sawzall I'm sure would work. And yeah, we might have to do some drywall repairs after, but I'll get into that when it's all done. But yeah, so I'm just going to cut away a little probably with this guy, so I don't possibly do anything. Oh, one other thing I should mention before you do anything, so there should be a main breaker on your circuit board that you should turn off before you do anything, so you don't accidentally kill yourself, fry yourself. Your outlet should come with wiring instructions, but generally green is ground, red and black are hots, white is neutral, and you can see even the turn screw is green. So you're going to put your ground there, it's usually this hole, and then the 2 hots. One thing I learned during this project is that not all breaker boards or circuit breakers have the same sort of attachment. So the normal ones you find at Home Depot, or I don't know that I've ever seen, kind of like snap in just like that. This one's got a weird sort of attachment. I can show you back over here, but so just pay attention. Like, so it kind of has to attach to this rail, which is kind of strange. So pay attention. This is just an older kind of breaker. You can look at the model number. You guys probably can't see it, but it was CH. That was the old make. I forget what it even stands for. But so you can find the right breaker, because I had to go and return the one I originally bought. Alright, so now we're running the wires up into the breaker box. Power off. Obviously keep the power off on the new breaker too. So we've got the green, the ground, going to your grounding terminal. Make sure it's not the neutral bus on the other side. And then the red and black can go in either of the sides of the breaker. It really doesn't matter with these wires. And then we're just going to clamp it in, and that should be good to go. So the other part I'm doing is I'm spackling this back up. I'm actually going to finish this before I test it out, but I just got some spackle. You could also use joint compound. They're almost the same thing. And just trying to make sure that this all goes on well and has some sort of backing to stick into. I realize a thing you could do is get a different box that actually goes into a stud. Would probably be more stable than this one, which has like little clamps in the back as you screw this in that kind of attaches to the drywall itself. So we'll see. Before you reinstall your electrical panel box cover, you want to punch out the 2 new spots that it's going to be in and write them in here, so in case any future people need to reference it. So I put the faceplate on. If you really want to be neat, you could sand down the spackle, but we're ready for, let's see. So we're going to flip our breaker on, and I already got it plugged in, and let's see. There you go. You hear that transformer welder working. It works.